You guys don't need to worry about me getting revenge from Diddy. I've got 3 moves that make sure he'll never be able to come after me or my family. First, I personally reached out to the victims' legal teams. The real reason he's not getting out is those buried cases behind the scenes. I provided legal funding for 7 victims who had been silent for years and brought in the top criminal attorneys in the country. Second, I bought up every potential post-release business deal he had lined up. I planned this 2 years in advance, so by the time he got sentenced and still had hope of getting out, every partner had already cut ties with him. Third, I don't just have evidence, I've got backups. This is an entire minefield that's been buried for 20 years. I uncovered every secret from the last 30 years. With testimonies from the victims, we interviewed over a dozen people he tricked, threatened, or violated. You think that's harsh? No, he destroyed other people's lives for decades. I'm just making sure he spends a few extra years in prison for it. I'm not afraid of his people, not afraid of his threats. I know he's still in there fantasizing about a comeback, but the truth is, he's never coming back.
Do you regret ever getting involved in...
I didn't have a choice. It got bad when I was about 15 years.
He was known to be at Diddy's white parties. And when Aaron Carter told us about his brother, he said because he outed all of this information, people were coming after...
When 50 Cent releases a documentary focused on uncovering what was long kept out of public view, the conversation moves beyond rumors and speculation. The discussion shifts from quiet suspicions to a more troubling question: why certain realities remained hidden for so long. By revisiting the rapid rise and tragic downfall of Aaron Carter and placing his story alongside the powerful influence historically linked to Sean Diddy Combs, the film brings an uncomfortable reckoning into the spotlight. The issue is no longer simply what people may have known, but who chose not to respond. As familiar names like Justin Bieber appear within similar timelines in the background, the documentary begins to hint at a wider pattern, one that extends beyond any single individual and instead reflects an industry where silence protected influence for years. If the truth was always close enough to notice, then the real question may not be what happened, but why it took so long for those connections to finally be recognized.
The love of your father and losing him, and then yet earlier you acknowledged that your father had put a to your head and fired it.
Sean Diddy Combs has been swimming in both criminal and civil law.
What? Wow. Talking about a transition. Man.
Ever since he got indicted, and the storm doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon. Recently, another wave of accusations has just been leveled at him, this time a staggering 25 lawsuits alleging inappropriate relationships with younger individuals. And while the whispers about his past connections with Justin Bieber and Usher during their early careers have been making rounds in the past months, a new shocking name has entered the conversation: Aaron Carter. Aaron, who allegedly first met Diddy at just 9 years old, is now being linked to allegations that have sparked heated discussions across social media.
When 50 Cent frames his documentary around what was kept out of view, he isn't reviving old gossip, he's revisiting timelines. The attention shifts away from rumors and toward the pauses. The moments when stories went quiet, scrutiny faded, and influence continued to expand without challenge. By treating silence itself as a point of examination, the documentary raises a more unsettling question: not simply what people knew, but why certain narratives were allowed to stall, and who may have benefited while they did. In that space between awareness and inaction, power continued to consolidate, accountability weakened, and the truth remained unresolved until now.
It's like every time you think you've heard it all, another layer of darkness gets peeled back.
Right.
With the way things are unfolding for Diddy, this might just turn into the scandal of the century.
I just want to make everyone happy and just love and do my music. Do you honestly think that that's the depth?
You know, I know who Aaron Carter is, but I don't at the same time. I forgot what it was that he actually did. But I believe he came from one of those, was it like a Disney show or something like that? I believe so. Because he has a brother, yeah.
Definition of a meth head and a crackhead. Teaching my niece her first dance moves. Making music on my bed.
Aaron Carter was once the golden boy of pop, a wildly talented child star whose meteoric rise to fame was nothing short of remarkable. He was only 9 years old when he dropped his self-titled debut album, captivating audiences everywhere and securing his spot as one of the biggest child stars to ever grace the music industry. Carter was tipped to do great things and have a long, successful career, but as bright as his star burned, it faded just as fast. Fame at such a young age can take its toll, but there was so much more that contributed to the downfall of Aaron's career. Several insider sources have suggested that Aaron may have been a victim of manipulation and the toxic culture.
By revisiting the rise and eventual collapse of child stardom, the film presents Aaron Carter not as a spectacle or headline, but as an example of exposure without adequate protection. His story moves away from the idea of personal failure and instead highlights a system that observed, benefited, and often remained silent. If silence is never neutral, the film suggests, then a difficult question naturally follows. Who benefited from that silence lasting so long? And why was it allowed to continue?
Aaron, how you holding up?
I'm doing good, man.
You doing good?
Yeah, staying strong. It's been 8 months of a lot of turmoil and back and forth. But at this point, I think that I've got it under control. I'm doing everything that I need to do. And, just focusing on my music, which is what I love. It's my passion. And really just, taking care of my aftercare, and
which consists of what? The care. You're doing what you have to do. So what does that mean to you?
Basically, a lot of people in the news, there's hundreds of posts from media, and they all said, that I'm 165 pounds, and when I checked into rehab last time, I was 117. Same weight that Michael Jackson died at, actually. And
117 pounds.
Yeah. I got my weight up and I kept it the whole time. I've managed to turn my life around. I'd be able to purchase houses, flip houses, be a real estate mogul, do touring after all the...
So you're buying and flipping houses, huh?
Yeah.
And I see that this one is
for sale right now.
Is up for this one's up for sale.
Yeah, so Christy Olympus is my she's like my big sister. But she's my real estate agent. She got me to my first house, which is only like about a mile away from here.
Yeah.
And then flipped that one from 420 to 620, got $200,000 profit. I bought this one for $600,000.
Aaron Carter's rise began long before adulthood could provide any real defenses, unfolding within an industry known for rapidly monetizing youth, while often postponing responsibility. The documentary places his early success alongside an emerging pattern of instability, suggesting how access can initially appear as opportunity before gradually turning into dependence. The implication is unsettling. When a child's worth becomes tied to productivity, warning signs may stop being viewed as danger and instead get reframed as pressure, stress, or simply the price of success. And that raises a far more difficult question. At what point does the pursuit of fame and profit begin to overshadow the basic responsibility to protect a child?
A lot of other stuff that's going on with that. They look at the stuff. They look at the stuff. They look at this right here, bro. First and foremost, all the companies that you have, you understand, and I know some people have trust and have companies in their kid's name. This man never put anything in his name. Why? It's either his mother, his son, his kid's name and everything like that. He had 18 companies that was giving him some kind of revenue. Why is nothing really in his name? Is there some kind of tax evasion? They looking at that. You understand? You got people in the industry that's been saying for years, this man is having sex with underage. So now the federal government is looking at that like, yo, when is somebody gonna come forward? We got this information, this alleged information, but nobody's willing to come forward. Then they go on and say, yo, Shakur Stewart mysteriously dead. Supposed to be a self-inflicted wound. Person that had everything going for them in their life. Kim Porter, dead. Somebody's car gets blown up. This guy is walking around threatening other actors, people. Somebody got to get involved in it. If it ain't the state, let it be the feds. Somebody got to stop him. He lucky that God given him the opportunity to be stopped while he's alive, then have to go to hell and face that shit. He got a chance to repent now, change his life.
You mentioned minors, and a lot of people have been trying to drag Justin Bieber into this situation because there's a lot of suspect looking videos with Diddy and Bieber in it, and they're making a lot of allegations.
Mm-hmm. Same way they made allegations about Usher.
The film repeatedly circles back to a troubling theme: proximity. Who stood closest to the people making decisions and who quietly controlled access behind the scenes. Sean Diddy Combs is not framed as a final judgment, but as a recurring figure appearing throughout accounts of mentorship, private gatherings, and informal influence. Rather than making direct accusations, the documentary traces these connections, suggesting that power often moves through relationships instead of contracts or official positions. In doing so, it reframes a central challenge of institutional accountability. If responsibility exists in the spaces between clearly defined roles, how can systems built to track formal authority fully identify where influence actually resided?
Do you regret ever getting involved in...
I didn't have a choice. It got bad when I was about 15 years old because when I did MTV Cribs, the day that I had to go show off that house, my mom and my dad told me, we're getting a divorce, but you still have to go do this. I had to go show off all the stuff my whole life that was going to be...
One of the documentary's most sobering themes is its careful documentation of Aaron Carter publicly and repeatedly asking for help. These moments are not portrayed as spectacle or personal breakdown, but as signs of fear, isolation, and a growing sense that something was seriously wrong. The film presents them as signals from someone who felt exposed, unheard, and increasingly vulnerable. In retrospect, those pleas appear less like instability and more like warnings, evidence of a person trying to be taken seriously, trying to be understood, before it was too late.
But they said he died from that pneumonia.
Yes.
Just like Kim, just like Brittany Murphy. That pneumonia ain't no joke. Hey, every time somebody get to telling the truth about someone, whoever's been lying, they just say a little prayer and then the pneumonia comes.
Real life. It ain't real life. Just real life street stars. You know what time it is.
Oh no, it's all good. But Uncle Ron, Beyonce's ex-bodyguard, who threatened to expose them. Yeah, threatened to expose them. I believe in 2023. Is deceased. He's passed away.
Allegedly, that's what they are saying.
Allegedly, that is what they are saying. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, they said he died from that pneumonia.
Yes.
Just like Kim, just like Brittany Murphy. That pneumonia ain't no joke. Hey, every time somebody get to telling the truth about someone, whoever's been lying, they just say a little prayer and then the pneumonia comes, and then yeah. A lot of people been getting that pneumonia. I'm surprised they didn't try to say that Liam.
The moral weight in this situation becomes collective. Audiences were watching. Platforms were amplifying the moments. The warning signs were visible to millions, yet meaningful intervention never appeared. When distress unfolds in public and is consumed on a massive scale, responsibility can easily become blurred. Does the obligation to act fall on the platforms, the industry, the people closest to the situation, or even the audience continuing to watch? When the signals are visible to everyone, the question shifts from who noticed to who should have responded, and why. Ultimately, no one did.
Got that live on you, but you know he went over that balcony. But the thing is, they say he went on his own. But there's two other things that I considered as I speculate. And this is all my speculation. None of this is true yet. But what if somebody told him he had to jump off?
Man.
What if he would have rather jumped and be pop-out?
Right.
You know? Or maybe imminent danger was there. And
it's
that
alleged
was
that
only escape.
Right. It's alleged that he had Tootsie.
No, that's not alleged. That is a fact. There, Rook. It was found in his system in his autopsy. That's not alleged.
That's crazy.
The Tootsie, Yep.
Jack, Liam Payne, his fall. There's a lot of alleged things they're saying that happened.
On multiple levels, his fall.
There's a lot of speculations.
Personal life.
Right.
Health.
What is his ties to Diddy?
I mean, all of those kids from that era, even the British bands, they all partied with Diddy. It's hard for me.
By widening its focus, 50 Cent's documentary moves beyond individual stories and places them within a broader culture that normalized placing minors in adult environments. The film traces how several young stars moved through the same circles of influence, spaces where access was prioritized and boundaries were often assumed rather than clearly enforced. In doing so, it shifts the narrative away from isolated events and toward a larger pattern, one where proximity to power sometimes replaced protection, and childhood was treated less as something to safeguard and more as a phase managed for productivity, visibility, and control.
To truly get invested in what's happening to Liam Payne right now, because I haven't gotten over what happened to Nick. Nick's brother, Aaron Carter.
Right.
A lot of people keep forgetting Aaron Carter was begging for help, begging for independent financing, begging for security. He made it very clear Sony was out to get him, just like Michael Jackson told him they would be. And right around that time, his brother had just been accused of graping one of the girls from making the band, Diddy's entity. And they were trying to make all of that go away. And Aaron called his brother out. And then the next thing you know, he said, if anything happens to me, I did not do this to myself. And then he was gone, and they said he took his own life, just like they're saying about Liam Payne. Why doesn't anyone want to see the same thing happening over and over and over again? Because if Diddy is responsible for Liam Payne, then he is without a doubt responsible for Aaron Carter.
Shout out reality street stars, nigga. Move.
The film presents Justin Bieber not as an accusation, but as a perspective, a contextual example of a pathway the industry has repeated for years. His early rise is placed alongside other similar trajectories, highlighting how access, mentorship, and exposure often follow the same pattern for young talent. When the same structures, environments, and vulnerabilities appear across multiple generations, the question becomes more direct. At what point does repetition stop looking like coincidence and begin revealing a system, one that may have normalized risk while avoiding accountability for far too long?
You know what I'm saying? It's like 150 hugs.
You're a public person as well, and there was one instance in Harlem, and his reaction when those people
went away.
Got in
the car and said, I feel like I need to wash, like I'm dirty. That was, it show you his character.
Was that the reason for including it?
Yeah, I mean, and what's the odds that you would do that in front of the camera? Like that's one of the moments where he forgot he was on tape.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
What they consider a pre-existing beef, right, for 20 years, right, is me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester, like maybe you'll come play with me, type of thing, right? And it's not personal.
I think it's important to also let people know that the show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. We weren't trying to just get the highlights, the salacious details, you know, that the real goal was to storytell. And not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a part of this project.
The 4-part series also features 2 jurors from Combs' trial who are speaking for the first time about how they reached their mixed verdict, finding Combs guilty of 2 prostitution offenses, but clear of racketeering and sex trafficking charges, both sharing their thoughts on the relationship between Combs and singer Cassie. Juror 75 describing them as 2 people in love, and Juror 160 saying in part, domestic violence wasn't one of the charges. Cassie, is she a victim in all this?
I believe Cassie's a victim in all this because she came in she's like 18, like 19 years old. In the very beginning, after a while, over time, you condition for it.
The goal of what the film is trying to do is to let the audience kind of come in to ask questions like, were their decisions colored by certain things, and who got the benefit of the doubt, you know, in that courtroom?
Do you think that hip-hop culture was on trial as much as Sean Combs was?
Look, if I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as hip-hop is fine.
The documentary presents silence not as coincidence, but as part of a system sustained through loyalty, fear, and the high cost of reputational fallout. It suggests that many adults around young artists may have understood enough to stay quiet, even while later claiming they never knew the full story. What takes shape is a pattern of shared avoidance, where responsibility becomes spread so widely that no single person appears fully accountable, yet the damage continues. When people each hold pieces of knowledge but choose silence, accountability doesn't disappear, it becomes diluted. And that leads to a difficult question. When responsibility is shared across many individuals, who ultimately bears the blame?
Footage of Sean Diddy Combs in the days leading up to his arrest in New York last September.
You want to put the stuff in my fanny pack, King?
The exclusive video obtained by Netflix shows Combs debating with his lawyers about strategy.
So they're saying it's his lawyers. How on earth did 50 Cent get a hold of footage of his lawyers? Now, one could say, isn't that privilege? How is this footage allowed? Now, you could also argue because someone's filming, there's other people there, you lose privilege. I've learned that in my appeals case. I have not filmed any of my legal meetings on purpose because if you film it, well, then it gives up your privilege in a way. So I'm assuming that's how they're getting away with this, because he's filming conversations with his lawyers, whether they knew or not. That footage, now that it's gotten in the wrong hands, or I guess different hands, isn't a longer privilege. I want to get a lawyer on it to confirm it, but I gotta be honest, I'm kind of shocked. You'd think, well, this should all be included, should it not?
Listen to me. I'm gonna get off the phone right now, and I am gonna let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution. No matter what, no matter what nobody said. Let's just here and there, y'all are not working together the right way. We're losing.
The footage is
like the way he's bossing around these high-powered lawyers is so revealing.
Part of a new, highly anticipated docuseries by director Alex Stapleton and rapper and executive producer.
Look at that smile. Look at that smile. Oh, he's loving this.
Jackson, titled Sean Combs: The Reckoning. Was there anything that surprised you when you were watching?
I think it was surprising that he actually filmed it.
It was very interesting to watch a man who's known for his brand presence. You know, he has a really amazing knack for marketing and all of that, and how he was sort of taking that into account in how he was coming off to the public.
We knew that was coming, by the way, because we learned that throughout as he was using his own kids to post birthday messages and etc. Like, this guy wants to control everything.
The exclusive video also shows Combs in Harlem greeting fans.
He's like, oh yeah, look at all these. This wasn't shot. Yeah, what's up? Let me shake your hands. Yeah, let me take this. He thrives in this. This is when people recognize him. What up? Like, barely anybody there. And he's like, yeah, everybody's here looking at me. He's like the quarterback that can never graduate, it feels like to me.
I need some hand sanitizer. Hold on. I got it. I've been out in the streets amongst the people. Yeah, I gotta take a bath.
I've been in the streets amongst people. I gotta take a bath. He's like horrified. He's disgusted by it.
Like the amount of people that actually I'm coming in contact with, like that's what I have to do.
A clear turning point emerges as speculation begins to give way to formal process. Commentary fades into the background, replaced by attorneys, court filings, and careful due diligence, while the tone becomes more serious without turning sensational. The film's restraint appears intentional. Names are not exaggerated, accusations are not amplified, and evidence is treated with caution rather than urgency. From a legal perspective, this shift is significant. It creates a clear distinction between public suspicion and formal accountability. In doing so, it raises a more unsettling question. If truth often requires structure and procedure to be taken seriously, why was that structure absent for so long? And who may have benefited from its absence?
Paying $15,000, you know what I'm saying? You can sit here and tell me that you're gonna pay me for my time sitting right down here with y'all. You understand? So then, one thing led to another, and I was like, all right, well then, F you, I spoke to 50, and then she said 50, and this is exact words that came out her mouth. 50 does not determine what goes in and goes out of this documentary. And he definitely don't pay, he determine what somebody get paid. It's not his documentary like that. I was like, oh, so if it's not his documentary, and I spoke to him like that, I don't need to be doing nothing with you. Because I'm doing this on the strength of him. But you gonna pay me if I do it. So it went back and forth, for a little bit. And then they had Kirk Burrows giving me calls and everything like that. What are you calling me for? You know what I'm saying? I'm not, get out of here. I know what kind of dude you is anyway. Me and you cool and everything, Kirk, but don't call me about no business with this stuff like that. And then what I found out is that he was making a deal, cutting a deal for himself as well as Tim. You understand? And I was trying to get a deal for all three of us. You understand? So that's how them industry cats go. That's what they do. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at it like this. So then he called me back again, and I told him, like, listen, man, don't you ever call my phone again, Kirk. You know what I'm saying? Because we had got into it about somebody calling him. He told me Groovy Lou called him and want to know why Gene's still doing this to Puff and everything like that. And I mentioned it on the Gene Deal show. You understand? I said something. Then he called me back like I was lying. And listen to me, Kurt. Don't call me about what these clowns and these niggas say right here, bro. And especially don't call me talking about what I gotta fix. When in fact, you know what you told me and you know what our conversation was. You know what I'm saying? So the whole thing about why I'm not in the thing, the lady was talking greasy to me. She had no right to talk greasy to me. And then she told me that 50 didn't have the power to do anything, but they using his name to like push the whole documentary. And that's what it was about. So that's why you don't see a cameo other than the pictures they used of me on the film in the documentary. I got like 3 or 4 pictures in the documentary that I seen of myself. You know, some people say they saw more, but I know three different times where I was certain places and you could actually see me in the documentary, and that's the only thing you're gonna get. But the stories that they told in the documentary, bruh, come on. They could have went a whole lot deeper. They could have did a whole lot more. So I ain't in the documentary because that lady that was the director, I think, what's her name? Alex State, you know her name?
The documentary explains why so few voices ever stepped forward. Speaking out often carried immediate professional risks, while staying silent helped preserve access and protect careers. In that environment, 50 Cent is portrayed as an exception, not because he claims to know every answer, but because he is willing to face backlash in order to push the conversation forward. His role is defined less by direct accusation and more by disruption, challenging the long period of silence that allowed so many questions to remain unanswered.
Well, I usually leave these things to the end of my interviews, but I really gotta say, rest in peace, Aaron Carter. Yeah. You actually called me the other day to break the news to me. Mm-hmm. And this is someone that we both interviewed multiple times. I was shocked. How did you feel when you heard the news?
Yeah, I was definitely shocked. But at the same time, I mean, I had interviewed him, I think maybe like a week and a half before he passed. I'm not sure, but it came out 3 days before he passed.
Huh.
And when he came in that time, he definitely was not in a great mental state. Like I remember you saying that you hadn't interviewed him for like over a year before he passed. It was the same thing with me where I was kind of interviewing him regularly, and then I didn't do it for a period of, I don't know, a year or two. And then I decided like, okay, he hit me up. I'm like, let's do it. I want to see how you're doing, check in. Came in to do the interview. It wasn't great. You know, he was drinking lean. And
he was drinking lean in the interview?
I mean, he tried to deny it, but it was like super purple. He's got a double cup. I don't know what else it would have been. But, you know, he's just kind of like slurring his speech. And, you know, I heard that him and his girl broke up again like 2 days after we did the interview, because she was there, like posted up, like, and I guess they had been through this dramatic breakup. And some of the stuff that I was talking to him about was super depressing, like him having his kid taken away by the state or whatever. And, you know, at one point I'm trying to like tell him like, you got to get your kid back, dude. Like, you can't be thinking about anything else. You got to just be focused on how to get your kid back. And then I start to think.
The implication isn't about bravery as a display, but about risk as the price of accountability. When telling the truth puts the speaker in danger, the focus naturally shifts to a deeper question. What kind of system requires such protection that honesty itself begins to carry consequences? In Interview 14, in the end, the film avoids offering a neat resolution. It doesn't declare guilt. Instead, it highlights the imbalance between fame and safety, access and oversight, rumor and documented record. 50 Cent's documentary encourages viewers to look beyond what happened to Aaron Carter and consider what was allowed to unfold around him, and why names like Sean, Diddy, Combs, and references to Justin Bieber appear within the same conversations about power and proximity. The final question is left intentionally open. When the industry is pushed to examine itself, will it confront and change the structures that allowed harm, or simply reshape the silence that once protected them?